Ciao, Bellezza! Today we're going to do tomato sauce. Now, there's not one way just to do tomato sauce. It's dependent upon the region you're from in Italy, how your family chose to do it. Our family was always very simple. We use simple ingredients such as fresh basil, onion, red pepper flakes, pepper, garlic, salt, and parsley. Now, some people put oregano, some people put additional things in their sauce, but we're very simple. Also, we don't put a lot of pork and things like that in the sauce, but we do usually will put like short ribs and some meatballs, which I'll show later. But for now, I'm going to show you how to start a basic sauce and let it cook. Okay, so why don't we begin? That'll be great. This is how Nonna used to do it. I'm going to show you. Before we begin, I want to explain to you. This is a passatutto, okay, or a food mill. You see here how they have like all of these little holes, and this is like a press. And what this does basically is it removes the seeds from the tomatoes. And I'm going to show you. I like to get these tomatoes. These are definitely my favorite. They're not the only ones I would choose, but they're the only ones I can find here where we live. And what I like about them is that they're lined. Okay, so you don't get that aluminum taste flavor when you get the tomatoes. And this is a DOP, so you know that the quality is always going to be consistent. When you see this sign here on a can, you know it's going to be good, okay? Good and authentic. Okay, so we have that. I already put some in here. I'm going to show you how I use the passatutto. Another thing, I know that you've heard people use sugar in their sauce. Never, ever have I ever heard of this in my Italian family with my Italian relatives, ever. So maybe it's because people don't have a passatutto and that bitterness, using sugar is the only way to get past it. But I have a remedy for that. Instead of putting sugar, grate finely some carrots if you really need that sweetness, and use a sweet onion. Okay, that's it. So let's get started. Okay, first thing I want to do is put the heat to medium high, and put about, I don't know, I never measure. That's another thing I have to tell you. I never measure. I am really guesstimating when I'm doing these things, but I've been doing this for so long. I just know by the smell, the amount, the look, and the taste. I just know. So I'm putting about, I would say, maybe 2 tablespoons, 1 tablespoon of oil, just enough so that I can saute these ingredients. Okay, so I've heated the pan up medium-high heat to about a tablespoon and a half of olive oil. Put some onions. Let those saute. Put about a half of a large onion, chopped it very finely. I really don't know how many pepper flakes there are. I just put to taste. I don't know how many black pepper I have. I'm going to say about a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half of red pepper flakes, 1 clove of garlic. I have maybe a 1/4 cup less of chopped parsley, a bunch full of basil, and I'm just going to use a pinch of salt, even though you have salt here, okay? So let's start putting the garlic. Let's try to get every little piece in. Let the garlic get in there, saute it in, make sure your heat's at medium-high. Then I'm going to add black pepper, a pinch of salt, some red pepper flakes, beautiful. And I like to put some parsley, a little bit now and then a little bit later. Oh, if you could smell this, it smells wonderful. Just let it saute just a little bit longer. In the meantime, I'm going to get my passatutto ready, okay? So basically what I'm going to do is it sits on here just like so. Smell that, it smells wonderful. And what you do is you can put in a can of whole San Marzano tomatoes, just like so. Get all that wonderful tomato flavor in, and you start grinding it down. And what this does is if there's any skin left or seeds, it'll remove the seeds and the skin. And you always have to make back and forth like this. Until, and you'll see down here what's happening here. And I always have to scrape the bottom, but you'll see that none of the seeds, none of the skin is here. Yes, you will get the pulp of the tomatoes in here. You just have to keep working it. Just keep working it and working it and working it. Now as you get to this part in here, you'll see that I've mashed it as much as I possibly can. Don't be afraid to scrape the pulp back into the sauce. Okay? There you go. And we'll continue with the rest. I'll be back. Okay, so I put all the tomatoes in, and what I'm gonna do now, some people like to chop their basil in. I like to leave it whole because then I can grab it and take it out. So I put these in, and then I will take them out once they're done. I mean, you're gonna infuse a lot of the flavor in here. And then I'll also put the remaining parsley. And then what I do is I just let it do its thing. Let it come to a little simmer. Put a little lid on it like this and watch it make some magic. Let the sauce simmer this way. Now, if you were going to add some beef ribs or any kind of ribs, pork, I know a lot of Italians like to put sausages inside. What you would do first is you would brown the meat first and then put it in the sauce. I've never done it that way. I would brown the braised ribs, but then I would add meatballs, not baked in the oven or not fried, which a lot of Italians like to do. I put them raw in the sauce and let them cook and simmer for like an hour and a half. I do that personally because that's how my mom used to do it because she wanted less fat in her meal. And that's how we used to always make our sauce. So the sauce has been simmering for a little while. Let's just taste. Delicious. So I'm going to show you in another video. You can leave it plain. I know there's some vegetarian or even vegan. If you notice, I didn't use any animal product in this at all. And you can definitely have this sauce on if you want the new chickpea pasta, whatever kind of pasta you want it on. It would be absolutely delicious. My next video, I'm going to show you how to make Nonna's meatballs, and we're going to put them in the sauce. See you then.